Hi, everyone. Welcome to A New View. I'm Lee, and I'm here with Shira, Kim, and Juji. We are four friends, speakers, and professionals from different cultures, backgrounds, and age groups coming together to offer healing and inspiration. Today, we're going to talk about the fact that it's okay not to be okay. Ladies, who wants to start first?
I'll start.
Okay.
Well, first, let me just admit to you guys that I'm 46 years old and I've only started to embrace this, started to embrace not being okay when I'm not okay. Probably just the last few years, honestly. When I was young, I grew up in a house where I had a lot of shame. And you guys know my dad drank alcohol. He was an alcoholic, and there was a lot of fighting going on, and there was just a lot of shame. And I didn't want anyone in the outside world to see that. And I created this story in my mind that if they saw it, they wouldn't like me. Like if they saw that I was in pain, they wouldn't like me. Or if they saw the things I was embarrassed about, if they saw the evidence of this situation at home, if they saw that I was upset or not happy or whatever, like this story, I carried it around for so long, and it definitely stemmed from shame, for sure, 100%. Like I don't even have to give it any thought. The culprit was shame. The root cause was shame. And I probably really hid all my emotions that were negative for a really, really long time, even into my late 20s. I remember being in relationships and putting on a happy face to please others. I remember having issues with friends that I would just keep to myself because I didn't want to upset them or upset things or have any conflict. And I think deep down, I was like scared of conflict because I had so much of it at home. I didn't want any more. I just wanted everyone to love me because I needed some extra love. I didn't know how to love myself. My parents didn't know how to love themselves. They didn't know how to teach me self-love. So I looked to the outside world for it. So I hid all of these negative emotions, thinking these negative emotions were not going to be accepted by others. And it wasn't until I was about 16 that this social worker in my school talked to me about my dad. And I didn't learn it was okay not to be okay from her, but I did learn that there was a problem. Like there was this problem that had to be talked about, and that I needed to learn how to deal with these negative emotions. So I still hid them, but now I was like dealing with them better, at least. But it wasn't really until my 30s when I really delved into this spiritual self-love journey work, all this effort, all these episodes we talk about, self-awareness, self-love, connecting with yourself, feeling your emotions, that I really started to embrace not being okay and expressing that to the world for the first time. So like even now when I do talk to anyone, friends, family, anyone, strangers even, I find myself just naturally opening up, naturally being more vulnerable. If I do a motivational talk or if I write, it all comes pouring out. And I think it comes pouring out because it's been stuffed down for so many years that I'm just like, I have to get it out. So getting it out is definitely the most healing thing anyone can ever do, because having anything you hide or stuff down or repress just feels terrible. So it was a long journey, but just having that awareness that it's okay and that it feels good to express it to others. I encourage everyone to find a way in their heart to do that, to help heal themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really is such a process. The thing that came into my mind when we were talking about this topic is the Brady Bunch, because it's like, I remember as a kid, I didn't actually put this thought together with the show, but it was like, there's trouble and there's a problem. And, the dad is this and the kids are that. And within a half an hour, everybody's happy and we go home and, sing hallelujah. And I just remember, things like that, the media, a lot of the things that we see, especially now with social media, where everything is just okay and everything's good and I'm going on vacation. It's just coming at you all the time. I also, like you, Kim, now see that I stuffed a lot of my crap, because honestly, one of my superpowers is like being happy and content and wanting others to be happy and content. But in doing that, I see how so much codependency that I had was actually me hiding also. Like, I'm going to focus on their problem, not my own problem. And so then your own because I didn't have the skills and tools to do that, and feeling like I was hiding and could not talk about the crappy things that were going on for me, I got really good at putting on that mask. And, we're human beings, right? We have a range of emotions, and to take such an important one, because when we cry, when we're down, when we're introspective, when we're ourselves, like that's where the answers come from. When we're hiding and all of that, that's just like this facade thing that's going on. But when you're really admitting to yourself, like, this is not okay, it's not okay, and I have to just sit with it, it feels, for me at least, that's where some of my answers and direction and guidance comes from, when I'm really sitting with the not okayness of it and not trying to deny it.
Interesting.
I think that you brought up a good point, Shira. Like, Kim, you were talking about how you hid not being okay from other people, but like, I think we're masters at hiding it from ourselves. It's like if we admitted even to ourselves sometimes, like, I'm pretty sure we've each talked on the show about having a certain kind of like come to Jesus moment where like the dam just breaks and you have to look yourself in the mirror and be like, what is true for me? What is really going on here? And when you do that, you realize that yourself is who you've been avoiding mostly, right? It's like, yeah, you can dress it up however you want about how like, well, they wouldn't understand, or like, because this is not normal. That's what I used to tell myself, because this is not normal and nobody's ever gone through this same problem before. I'm totally alone in this world, cruel, cruel world. It's like recognizing, first of all, that like no problem is a new problem. You might have like a mixed bag of problems, but like chances are somebody else in this world has experienced it before, can commiserate with you. And when you don't feel so alone in your not okayness, that's when you can start to maybe express it in a healthier way, not just to yourself, but to other people. Because honestly, like, Kim, you were just too young to know that that's something that happens in other people's households, and it's not like in the middle of fighting, your parents could have paused and been like, and just so you guys know, other parents fight too. Like, we just kind of assume that, and actually I grew up partially in Hungary, and it was like a lot of stuff is a lot more out in the open there. People are just a lot more like forthcoming. There's a lot less like, that term keeping up with the Joneses, like that's not really it. Like, everybody kind of knows everybody's business, whose marriage is in trouble, who's like having financial problems, like the neighborhood knows.
Wow.
Because they're all nosy and they're like, I don't know, they're all up in each other's business. So in a way, it breeds kind of camaraderie, right? Because like nobody's off the hook. And it's this like culture of like the highlight reel that Shira mentioned, this like, vacation and perfect family and matching pajamas and all of that stuff that like drives us cuckoo, because we don't see our truth reflected back at us out there in the world. If you dig a little bit, you will find it.
Yeah.
Blessing and a curse for both though, isn't it? Right? Having everybody know your business, camaraderie in it, but then it's also like, I don't want everyone knowing my business.
Yeah, but you know,
Well, that's actually interesting because Kim said something to me in the very beginning of our friendship when she was asking me about something personal. And she goes, I mean, I know it's none of my business. And I was like, Kim, if it's none of your business, whose business would it be? You know, it's like,
Yeah.
that's the foundation of intimacy, is being able
Yeah.
to share the hard things with other people. And that mentality of it's none of my business, like, puts people at arm's length. And I was like, I like opened that door for her, and I was like, it is absolutely your business.
yeah. And you know what? I think on that point, it's so important to have a support system, and one that you can rely on and you feel safe with. And so that's, you know, really the first thing, but you can't just do that with everybody. You know, you can't just do that with everybody, and not even all of your friends. You know, there are certain friends you can really kind of dig in deeper and try to help them uncover certain things, or just to be there for them. But yeah, for me, being okay not to be okay unfolded for me also as an adult. And as a child, you know, I mean, my parents were very models of people who were just hardworking, came to a new country, let's succeed, the American dream, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of, there was also a lot of feelings in me that kind of resonated: be strong, don't be weak, don't cry, don't this, don't that. And something that really kind of struck me, and the reason I also brought up this whole topic and started realizing that it's okay to be okay, not okay. Obviously, vulnerability, the idea of vulnerability and being aware of that started that for me, you know, a few years ago, and I'm still uncovering things. But what I've come to realize also is one of the biggest things that I think a lot of us start to discover is working on our past traumas, whatever they may be. And it doesn't have to be like physical abuse or whatever. I want to read you a quote by a guy named Gabor Mate. He's a Hungarian, you may know him, Zsuzs. He's a Hungarian physician, and he's an expert in childhood development and addiction and traumas, and how they have impacted us now from our childhood. But it's so interesting to hear, or to examine this quote, because the definition of trauma is very different to all of us, right? But when you look at it this way, it says, trauma is not what happens to a person, but what happens within them. So that is huge. That is the trauma that we carry. So whatever our perception was of an experience, or several in our childhood, I'm now understanding, like, that perception and that feeling and those emotions that we've carried with us. These are the things that we may suppress. We push down and we suppress them because of others' expectations of us. These are the things, I think, that help us to mask ourselves, not to ever show that we're not okay. And how wonderful it is to make these realizations, you know. And once again, we always come back to the awareness. And when you're aware of that, like, holy shit, like, it opens up really a whole new world of healing, I believe, really, truly healing. The lifelong impact that some of these traumas and perceptions that we carry with us are so impactful that you know. And I know we did an episode on how things affect us physically when we are in a certain emotional state.
Mhm.
And they also can affect us emotionally when we're in a certain physical state, but it goes hand in hand. You know, when we grow up with some of these perceptions and suppressions and putting on our mask, this can certainly affect our physiology in many ways and make us sick. This is where illness comes from.
Mm.
Yeah.
Such an
Wow.
interesting point.
Boy, that's such good stuff. You know, when I think about the years and years and years of me, not only was I not okay with not being okay, I didn't even know I was doing it. I didn't even know that I was just like happy face, happy face, happy face. I didn't know that I was doing that because I think at my core, I'm very much like life is short and we need to enjoy it as much as possible. But you know, you guys know the phrase, what you resist persists. By my resisting sitting with the shit, I blocked it. I didn't allow it in. I thought I was doing right by myself, but the problem just kept persisting. You can't wish it away. You can't smile it away. You just can't. And so that truth for me now, where I am like, I'm not okay, and I just let myself fall apart, it's just like this boulder, just kind of like the boulder off your shoulder. We'll call it that. Because then you can get to the being better. You know, okay is relative, right? But you can, when you allow yourself to do that, when you just admit, you go, you know what, this really sucks. This just sucks. Like scream it out, like this sucks. You know, the truth will set you free, honestly. So I have found that the more I allow myself to not be perfect and not, you know, do all of those things that we're talking about, and be more real, it helps you get to the next level. It helps you get to some decisions and some, you know, if you're in a fork in the road, to hopefully make the right choice for yourself.
Mm. Yeah, so interesting. And I also think that when somebody is in that place of like, I will not show this and I will not, you know, I think when we do that and when we don't think of like, oh my God, this sucks, when we resist that, I think we feel empowered in a wrong way. At the time, we feel like we're strong and we're powerful, you know, and it's such a juxtaposition. I mean, here we are, it's just like, no. It's just like when you cannot ever be vulnerable and you think you're stoic and strong and, you know, you're so not.
Yeah.
And why does it take so many decades to figure that out? They didn't tell us this.
Well, you all have helped me with my
I
journey,
mean,
for sure.
Kim's the one who's trying to get this into schools as a curriculum. So I mean,
know.
the next generation coming, it's like us discovering this and all of the books and like the Gabor Mates of the world, like, you know, they're the ones helping to break these generational patterns, you know, because that's what we were taught. And like something that you said about like not what happens to us, but what happens in us. I think that's also compounded by not being given the opportunity to be acknowledged, right? Like if nobody's acknowledging your lived experience as a young person, if it doesn't feel like it's something that somebody can like mirror back to you, then like you always turn it in on yourself, right? Like, what did I do wrong? What is wrong with me? Why can't I be X, Y, and Z way? You know, it's never like, oh, well, you know, like my parents shouldn't have done this, or like they're not seeing me correctly or anything like that. Like I was a very sensitive kid. I was, you know, like I was a crier, you know, I cried at movies. I still cry at movies. Or maybe I cry at movies again, because part of the deconditioning process and peeling away these layers of conditioning of the things that we told ourselves based on what we interpreted was happening to us, part of the deconditioning process is like, you know, like reparenting that little girl inside of you that was like, you know, made to feel ashamed and wrong and unlovable for whatever reason. Now, I feel like my parents totally loved me and they did the best that they could. Love you, Mom. But like, you know, it's difficult because we are all so unique and different, and we need such unique and different things. And a lot of the time, our parents were just trying to course correct based on how they were raised, or they raised us exactly how they were raised.
Right.
So it's kind of this like, nobody gets a manual. Human
Amen
design.
to that.
Shameless plug.
You know, I was thinking, Shira, when you were talking about earlier, to your point about stuffing it in and all of that, like, and not sitting, your famous saying of sitting with the shit.
That should be the curriculum. Sit with the shit 101.
I'm sure that would
Love
go
that saying.
over really well nationally in high
But
school.
not for too long. Don't sit with it for too long.
Right.
Get over it quickly. Let's not forget.
But that is.
Could you imagine they sit
something-
with the shit in all the schools in America, like all day long? We have like, forget, I'm not gonna.
Well, sitting with the shit is really uncomfortable. And there's something about discomfort that tends to come up for me time and time again. And that's what it always stems down to. Like, you know, I'm going to be on this journey my whole life. So I didn't just arrive and now I'm good. I'm good with not being okay. No, when I'm not okay and sitting, trying so hard to sit with my shit, it is super uncomfortable. And I always have these moments where I just, you know, I have to like just sit and remind myself that this is okay. And if I need to cry, if I need to call one of you guys and vent, if I need to go take a long walk and clear my head, like whatever it is, I'm just acknowledging that it is not easy to sit with the shit. It is very uncomfortable. And that feeling doesn't just ever go away. And then one day you wake up and you're like, oh, this is so much, like, yeah, it gets easier, I think, but it takes practice. It really
Yeah.
does. Like I'm in a practice mode now more than I ever have been. And even in those moments, it's so uncomfortable. And I just want it to go away. And I want to return back to my happy, bubbly self and just feel the way I feel most of the time. But I really am working hard at like just leaning into it more and letting it just take its course and take its time. And I have this like new perception of time healing now, because I'm just realizing and really seeing that sometimes things can go away in a day. Sometimes things sit with me for 2-3 days and I don't feel right about something. And then sometimes I just feel terrible about something and I have a conversation with someone and then something lifts. And it's just about being gentle with myself. So there's like, my new motto in my mind is like, this is temporary, but temporary could be a week, it could be a day. Like, I don't know what it is. My body and my mind will something will lift to indicate to me that like, okay, you know, you're getting through this, you're coming out the other end. So.
Yeah. And the most important thing is really that you're in the practice of it. As long as you're in the practice of it, I think, you know, we're on top, like we're getting somewhere, you know, we're open to that growth, which will help us, you know, shorten that time frame for next time, or, you know, tackling whatever obstacles come our way in a speedier way, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
Wow. What a
Yummy things.
yummy thing.
Here's to sitting with the shit.
Yeah, baby.
All right. You
Shit
know,
is better than sitting in shit, which I'm
this-
not.
This is also making me, it's also making me think of another topic for another time where two people can go through the same type of trauma and it can have an entirely different effect on them or impact on them as adults. So that's pretty fascinating. And it happens with siblings, it happens with twins, as you may or may not have examples, Shira.
Totally.
Totally. All right, another topic, another day. Well, anyway, ladies, I think that this is a great time for us to wrap. Thank you for being here for this discussion with us. If you've enjoyed our conversation, please subscribe to our channel and be sure to let us know if you have any topic requests or questions by commenting below. We'll see you soon, and thank you for watching.
Thank you.